Hello, in this video I'm going to show you some tips to find, track and navigate errors in a project. I'm going to use a ROS project as an example, and we're going to configure some commands, review the LSP navigation, set some shortcuts, and finally we are going to see Fzf and Telescope plugins. So let's start. Okay, the first tip is to configure, compile, make and Makeprg. I have a whole video about this with details. I'm going to put the link in the description. And if you configure this, you have a list where you can navigate the errors. So I'm going to do it here. I'm just going to use a Lua file. You have to put this in your config. Vim API and create user command. I'm just going to call this, I don't know, compile. And okay, here I have to call the compile command. Vim command compile, and you need to put the name of the compiler. In this case is cargo. Then you need to set the vim option Makeprg. This is the command line that it's gonna be executed. And finally you have to call the make command. And then I'm going to open the list so the errors are shown. See open. This open the Quickfix list. Now if I run this and then I go to my project and I run the compile command, I have the error list here and I can go to any of the errors. Okay. Okay, now if you have your LSP enabled, you can use some built-in shortcuts to go to the next error or go to the previous error and see some details about the errors. If you don't know how to configure the LSP, I have a video about that. I'm going to leave you the link in the description. Okay, if you press square brackets and D, you can go forward or backward. For example, if I press square bracket and D, I go to the next error. Okay, and I can do it backward with the opposite square bracket. Okay, now if the cursor is in the error, you can press Ctrl, W and D. and this shows you some details about the error. Okay, so let's review. If you press the close square bracket and D, you go forward. If you press the open square bracket and D, you go backward. And if you press Ctrl W and D, you have details. Okay. Now there is another function. It doesn't have a shortcut, but if you run vim.diagnostics and set location list, you can have a list with all the errors. Okay, so you can navigate the errors here. Now a good idea is to remap all these functions so your configuration adapts to your needs. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add new shortcuts for all of this. You just have to go to your config and place something like this. Vim, keymap, set, normal mode. I'm going to start with go to next error. So I'm going to use en error next function. Here I need to call the vim.diagnostic jump function. So here vim.diagnostic jump, and here you must specify count parameter. If you put 1, you just go to the next error, and you can put float parameter too. This opens the float with the window with the details. Okay, let's run this and test it. Now if I go to the file with the error and I press en, I can go forward. Now let's do it with the backward. It is the same, just error previous, and instead of 1, -1. I'm going to set keymaps for the floating window. Details, I'm going to use this keymap, vim diagnostic, and I think is float, open float. Okay, and finally I'm going to set one for the error list. I'm going to use E and L. And here I have to call the set location list. Okay, let's run this. And now if I press EP, I have to go to the previous error. There. Now if I press ED, I have the details, and if I press EL, I have the list here. EL. Okay. And finally, we have two plugins that are very good for this. One is FZF and another one is Telescope. Here are the GitHub repositories. It is not difficult to install it. And let's review some of it. When you install this, you can have a telescope command, and here you have a lot of options. Let's find for the diagnostics. If you run this command, you can have the list with all the warnings and errors, and you have a preview in the right. And the same thing with FZF. If you type FZF Lua, you have this diagnostic workspace option, and the same, you can search. You have a fuzzy search here, so you can navigate better in the errors. And you can add shortcuts too. Let's do it. I'm going to set one for telescope and one for FZF. I don't know, maybe error telescope. You can do it in many ways. I'm going to use the command telescope and diagnostic, I think. Okay, let's test this. If I press AET, I have an error. Let me check the command telescope diagnostics. Okay, let's try again. If I type ET, here they are. Now let's do the same with FZF. I think the command is FZF Lua. FZF Lua. I think is diagnostics workspace. Yeah. and I'm going to use EF. Let's do a test. If I type EF, here they are. And that's it. With this you have a very solid configuration for this. Hope you like it. See you.